What's good, y'all, and welcome to my review of Day 1 of Wrestle Kingdom 16. And I'm probably going to get crucified for this, but I would say since Wrestle Kingdom has gone to the 2-day format since 2019, I think it was, this was probably the weakest day out of all the Wrestle Kingdoms I've seen since they moved this 2-day format. I'll probably get crucified for that, but honestly, I just wasn't really that interested in the show this time. Though none of the matches outside the last two really got me really invested, where I was really invested in, and like honestly, I thought it was just kind of mid. Like honestly, I thought fucking New Year's Evil was way better. I thought New Year's Evil this year was way better than Day One anyway. But yeah. As I'm sure you've all raging in your comments, crucifying me and saying how I'm not a real wrestling fan because I'm not singing this day's praises. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what New Japan fans thought this day, if they ended up liking it way more than I did, or we're all kind of around the same page on it. But yeah, solid show all around. There wasn't a match that I think sucked or anything, but just compared to the last few years since I've done the Wrestle Kingdom reviews and I've been watching it, this one was probably the weakest one, man. At least for me, in terms of since they moved to the 2-day format. But anyway, guys, let's just jump right into the actual show. So we started the show off with Show versus Yo. I'm sorry, I had to do that, man. As soon as I heard his name was actually pronounced Yo, I just thought of all like those like movies where you hear like that just Yo thing. I'm sorry. But first, I gotta say, I loved Show's entrance. He came out with this more like gaming aesthetic kind of thing, like game over and everything. I like the sound of his entrance music. I dug his entrance. Now the match itself was overall really good. So the match starts up actually with them basically going out to the outside with him hitting a tope, whatever it is, the thing where you jump completely over the top rope, like the Rise of Terminator. He hits that. Then they kind of go to the I don't know what it's called, the hallway, walkway, whatever the fuck it's called, that leads from the top of the ramp. Yes, the ramp. Gets on top of the ramp, and now they're like start fighting there. He looks like he's about to go for like a DDT, but Yo manages to counter it, and then eventually Sho grabs one of the staffers in New Japan and just throws him into Sho or into Yo, and then like when he's on the ground, he then body slams. He then body slams this like staffer, whoever this poor soul that worked in New Japan that was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Body slams him right on top of him before he goes back into the ring, and the ref starts doing the count. Which probably for some reason, Sho was covering his ears while the referee was making the count. I don't know why he was doing that. I don't know, maybe just the count's really loud in the Tokyo Dome or something. I don't know, but whatever the reason is, he eventually does Yo does eventually make it back in the ring, but Sho immediately takes him out of the outside and continues the punishment. Eventually, as the match continues on, Yo hits him with like those kicks Steve Bryan's been doing a lot lately, and then he actually returns the favor, and then you actually had Sho drop this powerbomb, and bro, the sound this thing made after he landed was devastating. Like, I don't know if that was just how much he just threw him to the mat, or if that was just the echo because of the Tokyo Dome and how big it is. But it sounded way more devastating than I think I've ever heard a normal power bomb sound. It sounded pretty like, damn, you fucking heard that shit. Then right after that, he goes for a pile driver, manages to hit that as well, near fall. Eventually, as the match continues on, these guys are going at it. You had, I believe it was Sho locking the Hell's Gates on Yo, but he eventually managed to grab the ropes. As the match continues, the guy that was with Sho, gives him a wrench, and he's about to hit Yo with it. But Yo ends up hitting the guy he was with in the head with it, which sends him all the way over to the railing by the commentators. And like he just falls like right in, he just like lands right against the railing before he just face plants. And then Yo manages to counter into a roll up for the 1, 2, 3. Overall, I thought this was a great match to start off the show, and yeah, no really much complaints. This was basically my introduction to both these guys. I have never heard of them before then, and I enjoyed what I watched. So next up, we had Hiroshi Tanahashi, Rocky Ramiro, and Taguchi, if I'm saying that right, versus El Fantasma Ishimori and Kenta. This was another solid match, 6-man tag match. First, I gotta say, Rocky got fucking abused. Now, most of these guys, I didn't know who the hell they were. Obviously, I knew who Hiromu Tanahashi is, I know Kenta, but most of the other guys I was not very familiar with. But I gotta say, Rocky got fucking abused. This man's balls got destroyed in this match. Like, you had one where he was in the Tree of Row, and you had, Ishimori and El Fantasmo both like legit pressing their foot down on his crotch, on his fucking balls while he's in the Tree of Woe. How does this not make this match a disqualification here? I mean, yes, the match ended in a DQ anyway, but how this didn't end the match in a DQ, I would never know, because I'm pretty sure that's room for a disqualification if you ask me. You know, just like pressing your foot against a man's balls like that, man. I mean, goddamn, fam. And then you also had one of the other guys that Kenta was with. I forget who was. I think this was also when Rocky was still a legal man. Jumping from the top rope to the middle rope and back to the top rope over and over a couple times. Pretty impressive stuff. I thought that looked really cool. And then we end the match off with Kenta bringing in the kendo stick after the referee had already been absent, and just starts whacking Hiroshi Tanahashi with the kendo stick over and over again. Then eventually Hiroshi gets the kendo stick and starts wailing at Kenta with it. But then the referee gets followed back up, tries to get the kendo stick out of Hiroshi Tanahashi's out of his hands, but he just pushes the ref away and keeps wailing on the guy, and eventually leading to the ref calling a DQ in the match with Kenta and the other two winning. Now, I believe this is also building to their match they're going to be having at day 2, I believe. They're going to be having like a one-on-one match or something, a no DQ one-on-one match for I forget what title I forget which title Kenta has, but yes, that's what that was. So I believe that was building up more towards that match which will have no rules and will be no DQ. But yeah, solid match once again, but like at this point, nothing was really knocking my socks off like we did in the previous couple of years of Wrestle Kingdom, at least to me. Anyway, so next up was Los Degenabres de Japón, if I said that right, versus Will Ospreay, Great-O-Khan, and Jeff Cobb. Now, you guys know I love Will Ospreay. He's probably like my second or third favorite wrestler in New Japan. I love him, and I gotta say, the man has really done a good job with the heel gear. From the little bits and pieces of it I've seen from this Wrestle Kingdom and last year's Wrestle Kingdom, this man is working this gimmick like I don't know. he's doing a really good job with the gimmick. And I know he was actually, if I remember correctly, he actually was IWGP Heavyweight Champion sometime last year. So if any of you guys got any match recommendations for me to check out to when he was still champion during that time last year, definitely leave them in the comments. I want to check it out to see how he was as a champion, see what he was doing during his title reign. But anyway, throughout this match, Will Ospreay was basically chilling on the outside on a chair for most of his match because I have a bigger match tomorrow, because he's in the main event now tomorrow for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship, which I assume that means that between this and last year's Wrestle Kingdom, they eventually did just unite the belts between the IWGP Heavyweight Championship and the Intercontinental Championship and just merge them into one belt. That's what I assume is happening, just from the name is different. They always say like third champion or whatever. When it's like 50 plus was the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, if I remember correctly. But anyway, so he was spending most of the match on the outside, which I thought was nice. Every time he would tag in, he would instantly get right back up and be like, I have a bigger match tomorrow. This means nothing. Come back tomorrow. I fucking love Will Ospreay, man. But anyway, we started the match off with Jeff Cobb and Great-O-Khan, like just rushing over to Los Degenabres de Japón, getting the quick jump on him. Eventually, you had I believe it was Tetsuya Naito and Great-O-Khan when they were in the ring together. He was like just firing, he was like, wait, just like hitting him with like these chops, and then we ended the match off. Every time we would like I mentioned before, Will Ospreay would come into the match, do like maybe a couple moves and just fuck right back off into the outside. We ended the match off with, I believe it was Sonata. It might have been Bushi. Sonata with Will Ospreay in the ring, and he goes and hits his new finisher, the Hidden Blade is what they call it, which is like a elbow to the back of the head, which I thought looked devastating, and I'm kind of hoping it's meant to be an Assassin's Creed reference, because, you know, the Hidden Blade in Assassin's Creed, and I love those games. I've already told me that he named it that as like a reference to those games. Probably not. I probably just thought it sounded cool, but hey. This match was over really enjoyable. I definitely had a fun time. time watching just to see what Willow Ospreay was doing. But this was definitely a good match. This was a very enjoyable match. Next up, we had Katsuyori Shibata versus X, which X was the first one that came out, who was revealed to be someone by the name of Ren Narita, if I'm saying that right. Now the commentators on the English side of it, because I watched some English commentary, obviously, they were like, "Oh my God, it's Ren Natatari," and I'm like, "Who?" Honestly, I had no idea who any of these guys were, and I should preface this by saying right now, the match was fine, but I am not someone that is really into like super technical wrestling. I can enjoy that, and I can appreciate the wrestler's ability in putting on those matches, but that type of style, that super technical stuff, that just doesn't appeal to me. That isn't like, it's just the same thing. The like super extreme death matches aren't really my thing. I can appreciate the matches and respect the hell out of the performers in them, but it's not my particular type of pro wrestling I like to enjoy, at least on a continuous basis rather than just here and there like AEW has done it. So the match was good. The match was fine, but just really nothing that I found particularly interesting. Anyway, Katsuyori Shibata won the match, which I did like his entrance music. I thought his entrance music was really good, but yeah, I don't really got much to say on this match. I was kind of bored while I was watching it. It was fine, but I'm not really much of a technical guy myself. But yeah, but like I said, for people who are super into that technical wrestling stuff, I'm sure they love this match. Next up, we had Tomohiro Ishii versus Evil for the Never Openweight Championship. This was another fun and drill match where you actually had, I believe it was Evil, throw Tomohiro Ishii right into the barricade, which actually, he threw him in there with such force, the table that was right next to the barricade completely flipped over on top of the poor guy that was just sitting by the table. It completely flipped right on top of him. And eventually you also had these guys throwing each other into the exposed ring, turnbuckle. Occasionally, first it was Evil throwing it into Tomohiro Ishii, then Ishii did it to Evil a couple times, and they kind of went back and forth doing that. But anyway, through many distractions in the match, Evil eventually managed to win the match and is now the new Never Openweight Champion, which I know he has another belt on him. What's that one? Because that one belt he won had a blue Never Openweight Championship. The one he had a red little outline on it. What's that? Is that for like I think the commentators mentioned something that was like the Never Openweight like trios title or something. I'm not sure if any of you guys know for certain. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment, but I think it was like. But I'm curious to know what that other belt he has is called, or what that one is, because I thought that was another Overweight Championship. But anyway, next up after that we had Yoshihashi and Hirooki Goto, if I'm saying that right, versus Zack Sabre Jr. and Taichi. First, the immediate highlight of this match was Miho Abe. I'm pretty sure this is the first time I've ever seen her, and hot damn, she fun. Like, I was like, hello there. When I saw her, like, as soon as I saw her, I instantly Googled her to see if she had an Instagram or Twitter. And after some digging, I eventually found she did actually have an Instagram, which I, of course, immediately followed and liked a number for pictures. Hey, man, y'all know I like Asians, so that should be no surprise to any of you. But the match itself was overall pretty good. I enjoyed it. It's always a pleasure watching Zack Sabre Jr. work. Seriously, he's probably one of the best technical wrestlers out there, man. This man uses his body to lock into different submission holds like he did in this match. It's a marvel to watch, man. Seriously, that man is one talented motherfucker. But anyway, Yoshihashi and Hirooki Goto ended up winning the match after they hit their finisher, was called like the Lights Out or something like that, something to do with like shadows or something. I forget the exact name of it, but they actually hit it later on the match, and they were like trying to keep Zack Sabre away from it. He managed to break through and managed to break the cover. But this time, I believe they hit it on Zack Sabre Jr., which is how they eventually got the win. Now, apparently from the commentary, they mentioned that there was like that Yoshihashi or that Taichi was like looking down on Yoshihashi for a while, and so when the match ended, he actually Yoshihashi offered his hand to Taichi to like shake on it, that sportsmanship shit. But actually, once he kind of like got back, once he kind of like started to get his bearings again, he actually slapped his hand away from him and actually went in for a hug for a hot second, and went for the second guy as well. That's how the match, and that's where the match ended off. So yeah, a solid tag match. This one I really ended up enjoying. It got really pretty good around the end of the match when these guys were really going at it. But yeah, solid match all around. So next up was Hiromu Takahashi versus El Desperado, if I'm saying that right. And this match started off strong. First they started off by giving each other elbows to face, then they just started chopping each other, and we were off to the races. There was a lot of close near falls in the match. A lot of times where I thought the match was gonna end. You had this one exchange where Hiromu was getting him up into like a suplex, and like they were like countering each other into like different other moves. It looked really really cool, man. And also, the sounds Hiromu Tanahashi's made in this match was hilarious. Throughout this entire match, this man basically sounded like that's literally what he sounded like throughout the entire match, which I thought was pretty funny. But yeah, this match was awesome. This was at this point of the show, this was my favorite match of the card so far. This match was really fun. This is when the show started to get back up, started to like really pick up the pace, and I was like, all right, Wrestle Kingdom, maybe it actually can salvage itself this time. Can salvage itself these last two matches, man. But anyway, El Desperado ended up winning the match, retaining his championship, and yeah, man, fantastic match. Now on to the main event. So the main event was Kazuchika Okada versus Shingo Takagi for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. Now, first off, I gotta say, love the design of the belt. I think it looks really good. I think it looks really, really good. And for something that like looks like it's combined, like I said, the IWGP Heavyweight Championship and the Intercontinental Championship, I think it looks really good. It kind of has like that like eagle look, that winged eagle look to it. Like it. But one thing that was interesting before we even get into the match itself is Okada actually came out, instead of carrying the briefcase like what you typically see from the G1, from winners of the G1, which I actually did watch the match, like a little before right before I went and watched Wrestle Kingdom, and the match between Okada and Kota Ibushi was fantastic. I kind of pissed off how it ended up, but I think I would assume that actually happened. That wasn't a work like Okada or like not Okada. Ibushi actually did like break his wrist or something. I haven't looked at any details to see if that was all a work or not, but yeah, it looks like he might have actually seriously got himself injured in that match. But hopefully he's doing better. He doesn't seem like he's on the show at all this year, so I think he might still be recovering from whatever happened to him in the G1. But yeah, the match itself was fantastic. If only I just wish it went a little bit longer because I love those two. But this match was absolutely fantastic, man. And obviously the winner of this match is going to be the one facing off Will Ospreay for the belt tomorrow. Or I guess technically, yeah, tomorrow. I'm about to say technically today, but it's not midnight yet. I thought it was, but it's not. Which I'm excited. But I was so happy to see that it was actually Okada that won the match because I fucking loved. If you guys watched my review for last year's Wrestle Kingdom, I think it was. It might have been that or the year before. But we had Okada versus Will Ospreay. And they had an amazing match. It was one of my favorite matches of Wrestle Kingdom that year. So I'm so happy we get to see it again, this time for all the marbles. But this match was awesome. So first off, you had like Will Okada. Will Ospreay did make an appearance later on the show at the end, but Okada actually hits a DDT on the apron, but Shingo actually like I would say counter it, but he like absorbs the punishment and then picks Okada up and then goes for a suplex right on the apron. That looked nasty. Eventually, Okada also got him out into the outside, hit a crossbody over the barricade. You had this other time where Okada tried to like get him up while they were on the ramp, but he wasn't moving, and eventually with Shingo hitting Okada with an AA on the ring on the apron, or not, on the ramp, I should say, which must have sucked for Okada. And then like the count started going, and it got really fucking close. It was 18 when he was by the ramp, and then like 19 when he started like go around the ramp to get back on the ring, but he managed to get in there just in the nick of time. That was close, man. I thought it might. I think I kind of knew the probably would go count, but I was like yo, what's going on here? But yeah, it got dangerously close, man. Eventually, you had Okada do his like fucking thing where like he spreads his arm out and the camera zooms out. It's always fun watching that, man. And he tries to go for a rainmaker, but this dude fucking counters into his own clothesline that damn near decapitates Okada, man. Seriously, man, it looked fucking nasty. And then we were off to the races, man. You had these guys countering each other. You had him kind of like mocking Okada, doing the arm thing, which fucking enraged Okada. If the man's hair wasn't blonde, I would have thought he went Super Saiyan at this point in the match because he just started wailing on him. Red Shoes had to pull him away. And then weird thing, it looks like Okada like barely touched him to push him away, but Red Shoes was on the ground. But which, like I said, looked like he barely even touched him. But like I swear to God, referees in wrestling matches are some of are like fucking feathers in the wind. One light push and they're flown halfway across the fucking place. But anyway, so you have that. That was going crazy. Eventually, he even like also hit Okada like on his left eye with like I think it was either a clothesline or a straight up punch, or like a mean left hook. Like I forget someone actually I forget if it was Okada or him that hit like this like mean left hook like right in the middle like as a counter move and looked fucking nasty, man. But anyway, back on track. So after Okada either gets clothesline or punched in the left eye, he eventually manages to hit the Rainmaker, but he can't capitalize it because his eye's messed up. Eventually, the match continues on, and then eventually Okada was able to find. Well, first off, Okada hit this crazy DDT off the fucking top rope, while it was while Shingo was like going for like a suplex or something. Okada counters it into a DDT from the top rope or like the second rope. Either way, basically the top rope, and bro, it looked incredible, man. It looked absolutely insane, man. So after all that, eventually Okada was able to hit the Rainmaker and get the 1, 2, 3. And when that happened, I was so fucking happy because, like I said, it means we're going to get Okada and Will Ospreay tomorrow. And you guys know how much I love this too, and you know how much I loved their match last year or the year before, whatever it was. So I'm so happy we get to see it. I get to see a rematch with them now this time for the All the Marbles. So, overall, like I said, this was probably the weakest day one of all the Wrestle Kingdoms that I've seen of Wrestle Kingdom since Wrestle Kingdom did the 2-day thing. But like I said, this is coming from someone that doesn't watch New Japan consistently. This is someone that basically only watches Wrestle Kingdom, every year. So I'm sure people who watch Wrestle Kingdom consistently and know all the storylines, they probably got more enjoyment out of the show than I did. But me personally, the show, there wasn't a lot of matches outside the last two that really interested me and that really kept me engaged throughout the entire thing. But overall, it was still a solid show nonetheless. That was definitely saved by the last two matches, especially Okada. That main event match was fucking fantastic, man. So overall, I'm going to give day one of Wrestle Kingdom this year an 8.5 out of 10, guys. So anyway, like I said, those two matches saved it. If it wasn't for those two matches, I probably would have given this show maybe like a 6 or a 7. Which I'm sure is going to get me crucified in the comments, but hey, that's my opinion, man, at least from someone that doesn't watch Wrestle Kingdom, or not Wrestle Kingdom, that doesn't watch New Japan as consistently. I would like to watch New Japan more consistently like I do WWE and AEW, but it's just too much of a pain in the ass trying to keep up with all these shows. But seriously, I mentioned before, but I'll say again, I wish New Japan would just have a weekly show, like Raw or SmackDown, but actually good, that where I can watch. It gets you the storylines, and they build up to the next pay-per-view. That would be so much easier, and I get to actually watch New Japan consistently then. But whatever. But alas, that is not the case. Anyway, guys, that is where I'm going to end the video off. Leave your thoughts down below, guys. What you guys thought of Wrestle Kingdom 16 Day 1. Did you love it? Did you hate it? I'm very curious, actually, to figure out to see what New Japan fans thought of the show, that are all people that are up to date with the storylines and everything, what they thought of this show, if they ended up loving it and they got way more enjoyment out of it than I did, because they're up to date with the storylines and everything. Are we all kind of agree with the show was this day was kind of mid. That was kind of saved by the last two matches. But anyway, guys, follow me on Instagram and Twitter if you feel like it. Links down, description box below. And as always, come back for more. See you guys next time.
She's too bad.